Welcome to Workshop 1 with Mrs. Edema on reading to your child. I'd like to thank you for coming to watch this workshop and also for viewing the workshop if you're watching it online. I'd also like to thank you for filling out the permission forms, helping with the survey, and also most importantly, working with your child. We're only going to see major improvements because of the time you're committing to these workshops and also for the time you're committing to your child's academic success. Thank you. One of the questions I put on the survey was if talking to your kiddos could help with their reading success. And you guessed it, yes, it definitely can. Jim Trelease, who wrote a book called The Read Aloud Handbook, which I highly recommend, it's an easy read, said this: if a child has never heard the word, the child will never say the word. And if you have neither heard it or said it, it's pretty tough to read it and to write it. And that's so, so important to remember. We have to be talking to our kids about everything in the world around us so that they can understand how the language works. There's patterns and flow to our language. Some of the ways you can do this is by, just really simple things like we would do with our kids when they're little. Maybe some of you have and maybe some of you haven't. Asking them what sounds the different animals make and then saying those sounds with them. Identifying same and different sounds. So if they hear a train horn and a car horn, ask them what's the same and what's the difference. Have them imitate sound sequences after you. For example, if you clap your hands in a pattern, have your child clap after you and repeat the pattern or finish the pattern that you're clapping. Ask them to identify sounds around you. If you hear an ambulance, ask them what kind of a siren that is, or a fire engine or a police car. They all have different sirens, so it's important that your kids learn to differentiate those as well as other sounds in their world. And the more you're talking to them about it, the more of an understanding they're going to have. Talking to your kids is one of the earliest factors in predicting reading success. It's so, so important. They need to hear it, they need to say it to read it, and they need to be able to write it. So talking to them is the most foundational skill and building block that you can give them. Another question I asked on the survey is if reading to your child daily is important. It definitely is important. Why? Because it is another predictor of future reading success. Some of the questions you had about reading to your kids were very thoughtful, I thought, and important. Where can I find books to add to my child's library, or how? Scholastic Book Club is a great way to do this. Many of you did this with your teachers when you were in school. It's been around for a very long time. I remember doing it myself, and I'm 51 years old. So it has been around for a long time. A lot of times you can get excellent literature for under $1. I've just set up a link on my website to our class site. If you are one of Mrs. Heritage's students, you can get book orders through her. If you are one of Mr. Creasy's students, I am doing his book orders this year, and you can buy through me. So on the website, there is a link to my Scholastic Reading portal. And if you click on that, you can you can order books for your kids there. If you are in Mrs. Heritage's class, though, please order through her. The teachers get points, which they can then use to purchase free children's literature for their classrooms. And this is how I've been able to build up my classroom library. So also, garage sales are a great place to find books. A lot of times on Facebook, garage sale sites, you'll see retired teacher. Go there, pick up tons of great books. Discounted bookstores, birthday and holiday gifts from others. Make sure you ask for children's books. I know I'm the silly auntie, and every Christmas my nieces and nephews got a book along with their gift from me. And actually I wrote in the front of each of those, and a lot of them still have those books, and they love them to this day. The library is always free. Don't be intimidated. I was one of those people who did not go to the library very often because I always forgot to bring my books back on time, so I always had a fine. But now they have reminders you can set up on the internet. There's all kinds of things you can do to get the books from the library, and the Crest Hill Library is absolutely phenomenal. So don't be intimidated by the library. The books are free. The people in the children's section at the Crest Hill Library are phenomenal. They will guide you to what books you need for your child, what books you can read to your child, what books your child can read. They are a really great asset to our community, so make sure that you tap into what knowledge they have. It's very important. Online sites. On my website, there are online sites for you to click on, and they will read to your child. So there's a link here on the PowerPoint. You can click onto my website and go to resources, and then scroll all the way to the bottom, and there are some icons there. One of them is called Storytime Online. Click on that. Click on a book and listen to a famous actor or musician read a story to you and your child. It's really cool. Another question many of you had, was what books are appropriate. I really want you to consider the age, the culture, and the interests of your children. Sometimes if you're reading books to them that they're not interested in, or that are too old for them, or have vocabulary that's not appropriate, or it's something they're just not interested in, or if it's a book about a culture that is not familiar to them, that's hard at this age. Look for books that reflect your culture, your child's interest, and your child's age. And again, the librarians are great at helping you with this. My middle son Owen was never a big avid reader until high school, when he had Mrs. Scheer. And Mrs. Scheer did an interview with each of the kids, and she found out what things Owen really liked to do and what kind of movies he liked to watch and that kind of stuff. And she recommended a few book series to him because of that. And to this day, I have a hard time getting my son's nose out of a book, and he's 19. That was an incredible gift that teacher gave Owen. Imagine if you were able to give that gift to your child. At this age, they should be reading rhyming books and counting books and ABC books, doing author studies. There's so many great authors out there right now. I listed a few of them here with some titles behind their names. I do want to tell you, I'd like to encourage you to read Dr. Seuss books to your kids. I know they're annoying for adults, but they are one of the best ways your child can learn the language and the flow and the rhythm and the patterns of our English language. Dr. Seuss was a genius. He was a brilliant man who loved children and wanted them to learn to read, and he did an amazing job. I actually learned to read using Dr. Seuss, and so did a couple of my kids. So I just really want to encourage you. Board books, even like the books that you read to your kids when they were babies, those are even important because the kids can start to read those on their own now. I Spy books, those are so incredible for building vocabulary. Where's Waldo? Also classic fairy tales. They're kind of scary to some of the kids, but the rhyme and the rhythm teach so much about the flow of our language. They're so important. Please listen to this saying, this quote that I found. When kids are hearing stories, they're imagining in their mind's eye when they hear the story. For example, the frog jumped over the log. I've seen that log before. I've seen a log before. I've seen a frog before. What does that look like? Those are all things and all ways that your child is going to be using their imagination when you're reading to them. We have to teach the kids how to use their imaginations, because right now in today's day and age, all images are just handed to them. Everything is so quick and immediate and right at their fingertips. Using their imagination is not something that comes natural to them anymore, so we have to teach them how to do it. And when we're using picture books and rhyming books and counting books, that's an excellent way to do that with them. Somebody had asked about reading chapter books to your kids, and that's okay, but there has to be a balance. And at this age, I'd say more picture books, like we've been talking about, and less read-alouds. But if you are going to be reading aloud, choose some of the classics. A great one that I always read to my kindergartners was Charlotte's Web. It talks about friendship, and there's so many great themes that run through that book. So please just remember to find a balance between those. We're going to move on to the next slide now. Another great question you had was, how do I find time to read? You can do books on CD in the car. There are websites on the that read books to your kids that you can use on the tablet in the car. But the most important thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight is bedtime. Please, please make it special. One of the questions I had for the parents at the workshop, and I want to ask all of you too, is if you put your child to bed or if you send them up to go to bed on their own. At this age, putting them to bed is so very important. Research shows, and I just read this from statistic for my project. Research shows just 6 minutes of reading a day, 6 minutes, can calm your nerves, prepare your brain for sound sleep, and ensure future reading success. That's 6 minutes. Why is it important for you to read to your child? Because they hear the language, they use the language, they learn the flow of the language, they learn to use their imagination. Chapter books reading aloud, like I said earlier, are okay, but you still shouldn't be just reading those to them. Combine chapter books with quality children's picture books. Again, that little piece about imagining and using your imagination about the frog and the log is posted here. There's also a link here for bedtime stories for young brains. It's an article that talks about the importance of bedtime stories for your children. Turn off the tablets at least an hour before bedtime. When your kids are seeing, or when you are seeing that bright light, even if it's in a regular room with other lights on, the bright light from that tablet is tricking your child's brain and your brain into thinking it's broad daylight, and the natural rhythm of your body is not going to be ready to sleep. And so you're not going to get a good sound sleep. So your children are going to sleep better and longer and more soundly if you spend just 6 minutes. You can spend more, and more would be great, but just 6 minutes a day reading to your child at bedtime. That's 6 minutes out of your day. And even if you have more than one child, it's less than half an hour out of your day to spend snuggled up reading a book with your child. One of the other questions I had was how to read to my child. I'm so stressed out. I don't know if I should be teaching them while I'm reading or just reading to them. Please help. I have to tell you, I just really want you to relax and enjoy reading to your child. You don't have a lot of time with them. They are going to be out of your house before you know it. And it's so important for you to spend that time reading to them. So grab a book, snuggle them up on your lap in their clean little wet head and nice snuggly jammies, and read them a book for 6 minutes or more. They're going to want the same book over and over, and that's okay. Indulge them. They're learning that book by repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And that's all part of learning how to read and becoming a successful and lifelong reader. Another question I asked on the survey was whether or not you played games and sang with your child. I think it might have just said play games. It is so important for you to play games. There are quite a few games listed here. Also singing in the car. Think about it. Your kids know the McDonald's tune when it comes on, or they know the My Pretty Pony song. I know I'm old, I'm dating myself for these things, but they know the songs when they come on the radio. Their brains like that patterning and that routine and that rhythm. So singing with your children is fantastic. Our zoophonics animals that we're learning about, they have poems that go with them and big motion movements. Those poems and those big motion movements help those concepts get ingrained in your child's brain. Those are all the kinds of things that you can be doing at home. I know that online too they have websites where you can go and find music for all the different learning the letters. Think about the alphabet song and how quickly they learn that. And any other song you can sing with them. Play counting games with them. Just ask them how many forks they put in the drawer when they took them out of the dishwasher. Good way to help them help you clean too. Hi Ho Cherry-O is a fantastic game. It helps with fine motor and counting. Candyland is the classic game. I know they have it at Target, and it's no more than $10 or $12. We also have games here at school that you can check out. If you want, you can let me know about that, and I can tell you more about that. I can get games to check out for you. Candyland Connect 4, even if they're not getting the actual concept of Connect 4, they can get the concept of patterning. Anything that you can do with your child where you're talking to them. Playing Go Fish, painting, Play-Doh, yes, parents, Play-Doh, and cutting. You need to let your children use their hands. Cut with them, draw with them, paint with them, Play-Doh, anything where they're using their hands is going to help. I can tell you in the last 10 years I have seen kids come in with worse and worse fine motor skills. They can certainly use their fingers on a tablet to swipe and find something new or tap and find something new, but they can't hold a pencil to write their name. They can't cut, they can't squeeze. So please start using all of those things that we used to use when we were little. It's important for so many more reasons than just to have fun. Some questions from the survey that I may not have answered in the PowerPoint presentation. My child gets easily frustrated. So how can you help that? That's absolutely developmentally okay that your child's getting frustrated. We read a story to the kids at the beginning of the school year called Ish by Peter Reynolds. And basically this story talks about a little boy who loves to draw, and his big brother comes in and says his pictures look nothing like what he's drawing and he should stop drawing. And so he did. He quit drawing. Turns out his little sister comes in, and as he's crumpling up all of his pieces of paper, she's grabbing them and taking them to her room and hanging them on the wall. She loves his pictures. When he finds this out, he comes in and he's angry, and he said, "Why would you keep that? It looks nothing like it." And she said, it looks nothing like flowers in a vase. And she said, "It looks vase-ish." And then he felt free to be able to draw and create again. That's kind of what we need to give to our kids, isn't it? Letting them know that they don't have to be perfect. There's not one person in this world that is perfect. We can try to reach that, but we never will. So we need to be who we are and accept things the way they are. Always trying to be better and always trying our best. But it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes, and we need to teach our kids that. So we use the phrase in kindergarten, ish. You don't have to make it perfect, but as long as you're trying your best and it is ish, that's what we're looking for. It is such a freeing phrase to the kids. I love that book. So if you can find that book at the library or even on our Scholastic book order, it should be coming up at some point this year, you should get that book. Again, reading for enjoyment, not teaching. If you enjoy the book, they're going to learn from it. Quit stressing about it. If you don't feel comfortable reading to your child, find a book that you are comfortable reading, practice it a few times, and then read it to your child. And I'm going to guarantee you that that is the book your child is going to love because you love it. And they're going to ask you for that book more and more and more and more and more. And that's okay. Spend that time reading with them. The more you love it, the more they're going to love it. Working on comprehension strategies, it's never too early for that, but it's not necessary for you to do with your child. We're doing a lot of that at home, but here's a simple way to help. Asking questions, always asking questions. What do you think is going to happen next? Who are the characters? Where does it take place? How could we solve that problem? Let your kids talk. Don't give them all the answers. Ask the questions and wait for them to answer. If they can't answer, that's okay. Then you can tell them, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think this will happen next? Or do you think that will happen next? Anything you can do to be talking and letting them answer and just talking with each other is so important for those foundational years. Again, if you don't feel comfortable reading, choose books you can easily read. Read them before you read to your child. And if there's anything that you can take out of this, enjoy snuggling up with your child at home. It takes 6 minutes. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest takeaway I want you to get out of this is to please enjoy time with your child. This time goes faster than you can ever imagine. Time goes so quickly. These are my 3 little ones with my gram. This is 2004. Just a few years after that, my gram passed away and my kids lost their great-grandma. Time flies, but we spent so much time making memories, and they remember crawling up on her lap and having her read to them. And I'm just, like I'm saying again, time goes so quickly, you can't even imagine. Bob's grandpa used to say that to us all the time. You young ones, you'll never understand how fast time goes until you get to be my age. Well, I'm understanding, Grandpa, and I'm still 40 years from your age when you were telling us that. But I want to give that wisdom to all of you. Just take that 6 minutes. So here's my kids in 2004. As you can see, this is 2013. I am still one of the tallest 2 people in my family. Well, Colin's pretty close to me here. He's on the right. This was Owen's 8th grade graduation in 2013. From 2004 to here, I'm telling you, those 9 years went so fast. And now today, in the blink of an eye, here's my babies. And yeah, I'm going to cry again. Oh, here they are, all grown up. Owen on the left, his girlfriend Delaney, my husband and myself, Colin next to me, and then Elena and her boyfriend. Owen is 19. Oh my goodness. Owen's 19, Colin's 21, and Elena's 17. In a blink of an eye. Please, if there's anything that you take away from this workshop or this PowerPoint presentation, please just make 6 minutes a day to cuddle up with your child and read to them. It's going to make all the difference in the world, because pretty soon, in the blink of an eye, it's 2018 and they don't sit on your lap anymore. Oh, if you take those 6 minutes, they will make time for you in 10 years and in 12 years and in 15 years. But don't miss those 6 minutes today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this PowerPoint. I am so proud of you, Mom and Dad or Grandma and Grandpa, whoever you are, that you're taking the time to do this for your child. In the long run, it's going to be something that you do for your child, but that you will end up being blessed for doubly. So again, take that 6 minutes to read to your babies, and I will see you for the next workshop. Thank you so much.